Hello viewers! Today we're going to make some raspberry makgeolli. This is Holly's recipe. There's Holly picking the raspberries. This recipe produced the most intensely flavored makgeolli that I've ever tasted. So I'm very happy to share this with you. Holly's recipe just makes the flavor pop out. These raspberries were nice and ripe. They seemed to be getting ripe as we were picking them, and we used the very ripest ones for the makgeolli, the ones that by the end of the day were really falling apart. So we used the ripest raspberries, and we froze them overnight. So I have to thank Holly very much for sharing her recipe. She really taught me a thing or two about brewing here. We had a lot of fun picking these raspberries, and here they are. And again, we sorted them, picked out the very ripest and softest ones for use in this brew. So day 0, we got our sweet rice, our chopped sal, and 1 kilogram. We're going to wash that for 15 minutes. Rinse and drain, and then wash it again. Keep on doing that for 15 minutes, and then soak it for at least 3 hours. After 3 hours, put it in the colander, let it drain for 30 minutes. Then put in the steamer. We're going to steam this for 40 minutes. So this is going to be a single stage recipe. So it's been 40 minutes. We'll take this out and spread out the go-to-bop to cool. But as we're waiting, we're going to prepare the raspberries. So we froze these raspberries immediately after picking them. And then the next day we set them out and thawed them. Raspberries. And now we're going to blend them up. So we thawed these for about an hour. Pour the whole bag into the blender. This is about 700 grams when we weighed it before blending. So let's see what we get. Blend that up nice and smooth. And how much do we get? Oh, almost
700.
Okay, 700. That's what we wanted. Exactly. Okay, and here's the Naruk. We're going to use 100 grams of Naruk and blend that up too, so it's nice and evenly powdered. Put the cooled rice in the jar. Add the Naruk powder and the pureed raspberries. Oh, that's a little full. Let's stir that up. Okay, we're going to want to mix this together very thoroughly. So Holly's doing this by hand. There we go. Looks good. So we used 1 kilogram of sweet rice, 700 grams of raspberries, 100 grams of Naruk, and 400 milliliters of water. Now the normal proportions are 1 kilogram of chopped sal, 90 grams of Naruk, and 1 liter of water. So why did we change the proportions here? So we added 700 grams of raspberries, which are 85% water. That means 100 grams additional solids and 600 milliliters additional water. So because of the additional solids, about 9% of that should be the amount of Naruk we need to add. So instead of 90 grams, we're using 100 grams of Naruk. Since the 700 grams of raspberries consist of about 600 milliliters of water, we reduced the water from 1 liter to 400 milliliters. So that's the explanation of our proportions for this recipe. Okay, so we close the lid loosely and put it in a dark place, moderate temperature to ferment. And the next day in the morning, it is still very solid. It's not, I'm not hearing anything. So we did not add any additional yeast. We're just using the yeast that's in the Naruk. Okay, this is the next day, just in the evening, and it's getting a little softer now. Still needs to be stirred. So we should be stirring it twice a day. Okay, starting to see some bubbles now. That's good. And here's something. So it's fermenting, and you see some liquid collecting at the bottom. This is day 3 in the morning. Uh-oh, this is day 3 in the evening, and now why is there a white layer on top? Okay, we're going to need to stir every single day to avoid this. Normally I stop after a few days, but we're going to keep on stirring. Fermentation seems to have slowed down a lot. Another reason we want to keep the fermentation going, get enough oxygen in there. No white mold growing on top. Let's make sure it's fermenting. Day 5 with the match test, and yes it is. This is some of the extra stirring. Want to make sure no mold has a chance to grow and that the fermentation continues vigorously. And as soon as we notice that it slows down, I'm going to bottle it. I'm not going to take a chance. Because I think all that fruit in there, if it's not fermenting, it is going to have a tendency to get moldy. Okay, day 8. Oh, it's nice and soft, and it's almost, the match doesn't go out till almost at the surface. So I decided to bottle it right now, not to wait any longer. And I think that's what Holly recommended as well. Bottle a little earlier than I normally do. Pours out very easily. These are my filter bags that make my filtering easier. It's just pouring out of there. Nice and easy to squeeze that for a few minutes. Look at that color. Okay, so the leftovers, I have about 500 grams of leftovers. Very bright color. The aroma is really extreme raspberry for sure. So this is the most intensely flavored makgeolli that I've ever tasted. The flavor of raspberries is so extreme. It's like concentrated raspberry taste. It's fresh. It's tart. It is tart and zingy. So this is the best berry fruit brew. And after a few days, it is very carbonated. Very carbonated after a few days in the fridge. So this is delicious. If you have a chance to make a berry brew makgeolli using this method, you should do it. Thank you again, Holly, for showing me your recipe. And thank you for watching.